I know the feeling. You scroll through a dozen soundbars, each one promising cinema-level audio and deep bass you can feel, only to end up with a thin-sounding piece of plastic that makes movie dialogue sound like it's coming from a tin can. I've been there, and I've also heard the same complaints from friends who thought they were getting a plug-and-play upgrade but were left adjusting the volume higher and higher just to hear the actors. That's why I'm doing this deep dive before you click Add to Cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Marshall Heston 120 soundbar with Dolby Atmos and its companion Heston Sub 200 isn't just another sleek box to tuck under your TV. It's trying to be the bridge between a modest living room setup and the kind of sound you'd expect in a dedicated home theater. The big question is whether it actually delivers on that promise without demanding a massive budget or a redesign of your space. First, let's talk about the kind of room where this bundle makes sense. The set is designed for medium-sized spaces. Think a living room that comfortably seats 4 to 6 people, with the TV positioned about 8 feet away from the primary listening spot. If you're in a studio apartment with a wall-mounted TV only a few feet away, the Atmos speakers will struggle to create the height dimension they need, and the subwoofer's deep rumble can become overwhelming, turning quiet scenes into a low-frequency buzz. Conversely, if you have a large open-plan area, the Heston 120 will fill the front soundstage nicely, but you may still need additional rear speakers for a true surround experience. In short, the bundle hits the sweet spot for a typical family room, not a cramped cabin or a sprawling home theater. What sets this soundbar apart is its Dolby Atmos processing, which attempts to place sounds above you without the ceiling-mounted speakers you'd find in a high-end system. In practice, I found the overhead effects most noticeable during a few key moments in an action film: the swoosh of a jet, the rumble of an explosion, or the subtle rustle of leaves overhead. Those elements really add a sense of depth that a stereo bar simply can't achieve. The subwoofer, the Heston Sub 200, delivers that deep bass the marketing copy boasts about, and it's surprisingly clean for its size. When a bass-heavy track like Uptown Funk hits, you feel the thump without the distortion you get from cheaper 8-inch subs. But the real-world test is the dialogue clarity. This is where many soundbars flop, leaving you squinting at subtitles. The Heston 120 does a decent job, thanks to its dedicated center channel that isolates voices from the rest of the mix. In a comedy like The Grand Budapest Hotel, the witty banter stayed crisp even when the soundtrack swelled. However, if you crank the volume up for a blockbuster, you might notice a slight bleed between dialogue and background effects. It's not a deal-breaker, but it's something to be aware of if you're sensitive to speech intelligibility. Connectivity is another practical concern. The bundle supports Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, HDMI ARC, and an optical input. I paired my phone via Bluetooth to stream Spotify and found the connection stable, no dropouts after a few minutes, which can be a nightmare with cheaper units. The HDMI ARC setup was simple: a single cable from the TV's ARC port to the soundbar, and you instantly got the TV's audio through the Atmos processor. The remote, however, feels a bit dated. It's a basic plastic remote with a handful of buttons, and you have to toggle between TV volume and soundbar volume manually if you're not using ARC. There's no dedicated party mode button, but the on-screen menu lets you adjust bass levels and turn the subwoofer on or off with a few clicks. Now, who should buy this? If you're a movie enthusiast who wants a noticeable upgrade from the TV's built-in speakers but aren't ready to invest in a full 5.1 or 7.1 system, the Heston 120 Plus Sub 200 is a solid middle ground. It gives you a richer soundstage, better bass, and a touch of Atmos that can make your favorite films feel more immersive. It's also a good choice for music lovers who value low-frequency punch. The sub integrates seamlessly, so a bass-heavy playlist feels full without needing a separate equalizer. On the flip side, if you're a hardcore audiophile demanding absolute clarity across every frequency band, you might find the soundbar's processing a bit too consumer-friendly. The lack of customizable EQ settings means you're stuck with the manufacturer's preset, which works for most content but doesn't let you fine-tune the low end or treble to your exact taste. Also, if you already own a high-end receiver and a set of satellite speakers, you'll likely get more benefit from expanding that system rather than adding a bundled soundbar. Let's get into the practical strengths and weaknesses you'll notice after the first week of use. The biggest strength is the seamless integration of the subwoofer. Many bundles,